Hi everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name's Lizzie and today I've got a makes video for you. Now these makes are not recent makes. I'm going to call this my November makes just because it's November now, but actually one of these projects I started over a year ago. So they're not necessarily recent makes, but yeah, I wanted to tell you about them anyway, and I haven't been doing much sewing recently, so I'm kind of combined things together from the last several months into one video. So the first thing I want to tell you about is something that I've made recently, and it's this jumper, which I am so happy with. This is the Nina Lee Southbank sweater. I'll put an image on the screen now of the pattern so you can see. I love this pattern. This is the third one that I've made. I've made a full length like jumper dress version, and this is now my second cropped version. And again, I'll put some pictures in so you can see them. This pattern is it's just great. It's really simple, really easy, and most importantly, it's really comfortable and easy to wear. It's a look that I really like, this whole kind of cropped jumper with like little A-line skirts or high-waisted jeans, and so I was really happy to add another one to my collection. So I'll kind of show it to you. So this is it. It's got a lovely little roll neck, which I really like because I don't like drafts in the winter. It's got a slight dropped shoulder, although on me it's not particularly dropped because I have quite wide shoulders. And then it goes down to some cuffs on the sleeves. And then for the cropped version, it just has a folded over hem, and I lengthened it a little bit to so that it sits just perfectly, look, just where my belt is, which I really, really like, because if I move around, you get like a little flash of my belt, but you don't get, I mean, this time of year, I always have something tucked in anyway, but I'm not like flashing the flesh, but it's just a really nice flattering length, I think. So for this version, I made a size 6, which is the size that I've made before, and I'm really happy with the fit. It's loose enough that I can wear like a long sleeve top underneath, but it's also sort of fairly slim fitting as well, which I like. The only adjustment that I made was to lengthen that bodice a little bit, so I've added 5 centimetres to the bodice at the lengthening and shortening lines, and it's really easy. I've just done it on my pattern pieces, so now whenever I go to make another one, my pattern pieces are already they're already correct. So actually this is the back piece, and I've basically just chopped it along the lengthening and shortening line, added another piece of paper in between so that there's 5 centimetres extra, and just used masking tape to attach it, so it's really easy for me to change it if I ever wanted to. But yeah, that's my kind of new and improved pattern piece. The fabric that I've made this out of, I love this fabric, but at first when I made it I was a bit like, do I look a bit like I'm doing like an abstract version of the whole animal print thing that's going on at the moment? I was a little bit like, is this too much? But I've grown to really like it. The fabric is fabric that I bought ages ago from the fabric store when I was in LA. So I was in LA on holiday earlier this year, and we had a brilliant trip. I've got a few videos on it, like fabric shopping and things. I'll link below if you want to go and see them, or put in the corners now. But yeah, this is fabric that I've had in my stash since then. That was back in March, and it's so nice and soft. It's a really nice, I'm not sure on the exact composition, but to me it feels like a fairly heavyweight cotton jersey, and I do know that it has got a little bit of lycra and a little bit of polyester in it, but it must be mostly cotton because it's just so nice and soft. And it also feels to be very breathable so far as well. I've worn it a whole bunch of times already, and yeah, I really enjoy wearing it. I would highly recommend this pattern to anyone, particularly if you're a beginner or if you just fancy an easy make, because it's so quick and simple. I sewed it up in a matter of hours, I think about 3 hours or something, including cutting out, so it really is a speedy one. The second make that I want to tell you about is a make from back in September, so I'm quite delayed in telling you about it, but it was my most recent make for the Simple Sew blogger network. I'll link to the blog post about it on the Simple Sew website down below so you can go and check it out, but I also wanted to tell you a bit about it on here as well. So I made the Cocoon Dress, which I'll put a picture in on the screen now so you can see. It's just a really simple dress, another really easy make. It's got a V-neck, it's got, you can either have sort of sleeves, like sort of short, it's kind of not proper sleeves, but cut off as though it's got short sleeves, or you can have long sleeves, and it's got pockets, which is great. It's just a really easy, sort of loose fitting dress that I think is really wearable. So this is my version here. I love this colour. Isn't this colour just the most beautiful colour green you've ever seen. I think it's really flattering for my kind of skin tone, hair colour, etc. And yeah, this fabric is from Doughty's. It was really kindly gifted to me for the purposes of doing my blog post for the Simple Sew blogger network. And it is called, let me double check. So it's 7-berry linen look cotton from Doughty's, and the colour is forest. Yeah, they have so many beautiful colours. So if you're in the market, I know it's not really linen season anymore, now it's winter, but if you are thinking ahead to any more spring summery makes, or maybe you're in the southern hemisphere and it's spring and summer now, then yeah, definitely look at Doughty's linen look cotton, because it's so nice. The colours are just beautiful. I've got my eye on some really luxurious reds and blues as well. And I think they have mustard, which, as we know, we all love a bit of mustard at the moment. I really like the fit of this. It's just a really casual, loose-fitting dress. In fact, it's not really particularly fitted at all, but I like to wear it cinched in with a little tan-coloured belt, which gives it a bit of shape on the waist, which I really like. I made this garment with my honeymoon in mind, because I'm going off to India in April next year after I get married, and it's going to be really hot in April, so I need things that are going to protect me from the sun in breathable fabrics like cotton and linen, and you know, fabrics that are going to allow me to breathe and not get too hot. And also this design I think is great for India because it doesn't cover my knees, which I need to read up on the sort of what's culturally acceptable to be wandering around India in, to make sure my wardrobe is appropriate. So it doesn't cover my knees, but it does cover my shoulders, which I think is going to be important, because I obviously want to make sure I'm being respectful of the local cultures. So yeah, from a sun protection perspective and from a modesty perspective, I really like that it covers my shoulders. And I think something that's loose fitting is also really good in hot weather. So to tell you a little bit about how I made it, I've got a few notes because I don't want to get it wrong or forget anything. I didn't make any adjustments to the fit or to the sizing. I cut out view B, which is the one with no sleeves, and I did a size 6, which is the smallest size. And as you can tell, it's a really roomy design. So if you do prefer your clothes to be slightly slimmer fitting, then maybe size down. I did do a couple of things that differed from the instructions. So I understitched the neck facing to the seam allowance to make sure that it didn't pop out. And I also didn't bother to use bias binding on the armholes, so the pattern tells you to use bias binding on the armholes here, which would have been a really nice finish, but I didn't have any ready-made bias binding and I didn't have enough fabric / couldn't be bothered to make bias binding. So I just folded the hem over by 1 centimetre twice. I folded it by 1 centimetre and then by 1 centimetre again, and just stitched it down. And actually, like, this is cotton look linen as opposed to pure linen, but it's got that kind of slightly rumpledy texture of linen, and I just don't think you need a really super crisp finish. I think it quite suits it to have a little bit of a less pristine bias bound finish, so yeah, I'm happy with that. As I said, this fabric is quite a summery fabric, but I have found a way to wear it now that it's autumn winter, and that is by wearing a white long-sleeved cotton roll neck t-shirt underneath. I've got a whole bunch of these t-shirts. They're from Uniqlo. They're such nice quality, really breathable cotton, and they're just so good to turn it into like a winter wearable dress, because you've got your long sleeves, high neck, keeps you nice and warm because it's lovely quality cotton, and then you can wear this with like black tights and knee-high boots or whatever and make it more of a wintry dress. And I'm really glad I've worked that out, because as much as it's totally fine to have some garments, I've got plenty of garments that are kind of just for summer and plenty that are sort of just for winter, but if you can manage to wear them, kind of mix and match a bit more and wear things across all seasons, that's only a good thing, right? Because it means we don't need quite so many clothes and we can get the maximum wear and value out of them. So that was make number 2. Next is make number 3, and this one is a bit of a palaver because I've been making this for over a year. This is it. I will model it for you at some point, or put some pictures or footage in of me wearing it. This is the Sew Over It Chloe coat, and you can see by these raw edges that it's not finished yet. Now, I bought the online class to make this coat because it's the first coat I've ever made, and obviously a coat is quite a big make. It's much more lengthy and includes many more steps than other things I've made in the past, so I thought it was a really good idea to buy the online class. However, unfortunately, I haven't been totally impressed by it, and I found quite a few flaws in it, which I found quite frustrating, because when you've paid, you know, a good amount of money for a product, you kind of hope it's going to be perfect. And again, I'm not trying to sort of point the finger. I think So Over It's an amazing brand, and it could be that I've misunderstood some things or whatever, but I'll tell you about my experience. So the Chloe coat is a really lovely, simple coat. It's just got a nice round neckline. It doesn't have a collar or anything, and then it's got a zip down the front, some patch pockets on the front, and it's just got nice straight arms, sort of a fairly straight, slightly sort of A-line shape to the coat, and I just think it's really simple, really classic, and the kind of thing that you could make in so many different fabrics and have a completely different look. And you can see that on the Sew Over It website, because Lisa Comfort and her team have made it in all sorts of different fabrics. Now, I normally am a size 8 or kind of smaller than a size 8 in Sew Over It, but this is a coat, so I wanted to make sure I had plenty of room in it. So I decided to cut out the size 10, but I did grade to a size 12 on the shoulders. I think I mentioned previously that my shoulders are quite broad compared to the rest of my body, and I didn't want a coat to be too tight on my shoulders, because of course you need space to wear big, thick body jumpers underneath and still be able to move around. So that's what I did for sizing. And then, yeah, I followed the steps. So when you have the online course, you get the videos that you can click through on your computer or your phone or whatever, but you also have the paper instructions. And I basically found that they didn't always 100% match. And there are a few places where I was like, huh? It says this in the instructions, but Lisa's saying this in the video, and I'm not quite sure which one I'm supposed to do. For example, I found one part, and I'm not quite sure if this was the video or just the various different instructions, but I wasn't sure whether I was supposed to get 2 meters or 2.2 meters for my size, because different parts of the instructions and the website and everything told me different. So that was a bit worrying. One of the discrepancies that I found was to do with the front facing pieces. So you need to obviously cut the facing pieces out of your coat fabrics, this nice green fabric I've got here, but I didn't know whether I also needed to cut interfacing for those pieces, because the pattern pieces, you know, normally on a pattern piece, if you need to cut fabric and interfacing, it will say cut 2 fabric, cut 1 interfacing, or whatever it is. The pattern pieces don't tell you to cut interfacing out for the facing pieces, but it turns out that you do need to do that. So that was just one of those moments where I was a bit confused. A few other things, with lining the sleeves, on the video Lisa's all of a sudden just lined the sleeves and doesn't really explain it in full, and in the instructions it says use the same steps as for the coat, but it doesn't confirm the seam allowance, and I was like flicking through the instructions, flicking through the video, trying to check whether I was using the correct seam allowance for the sleeves, so that was a bit confusing. I'm still not sure if I did it right or not. Yeah, so there was just a few things, and then I came to the end. I'm so nearly finished with this coat. And I've got a big problem. Let me try and show you this. So you see here, at the top, this is my fabric. This is the inside, so the lining attached to the facing and the zip. And I've got this big old gap here where they don't line up. And then I've got the same thing on the other side, but on the inside, and these are supposed to line up. And I've looked at my pattern pieces. I'm so confused. I don't know what I've done wrong, but I've done something obviously very wrong with my cutting out somewhere, because I've got these 2 pieces that completely don't line up. And so now I've just completely ground to a halt with it again, because I'm just not too sure what to do about it. These are supposed to line up on both sides so that you've got a really nice like overlap and your zip is sort of hidden, and this would all be like tucked away and finished nicely. But I'm just not quite sure what to do about it, and it's really, really annoying. But other than that, I've got to do this bit and then just hem the cuff, hem the sleeves, and hem the body, hem the actual coat. But I just don't know what to do. Has anyone else had this problem? I can't work out what I've done wrong. I really can't. But it's really annoying, and it means that I'm going to be able to do it to make it work, but it just means that I don't think my zip's going to be as nicely hidden as it's supposed to be. So I'm feeling a bit like this with this make because it's been over a year in the making and it's just not going very well. Oh yeah, and I sewed the zip in upside down the first time and I had to cut out all new facing pieces because this fabric, it was just too difficult to unpick it. This fabric, by the way, is lovely. I think it's the reason I haven't just given up. This fabric I bought from the Knitting and... no. Was it the Knitting and Stitching show? Let me check. I can't remember which... It was the sewing event at the XL last year. I can't remember whether it was the Sewing Bee Live or the Knitting and Stitching show. I'm not quite sure, but it was a fabric sewing thing at the XL in London. And I got this fabric from the Fabrics Galore stall. It's just beautiful. I mean, I love this colour. As you can tell, I'm quite into my green. And this fabric is 100% wool. It's ex-Burberry, which I found very... oh no, is it I don't mean Burberry, I think I mean Barber. Yeah, not Burberry, ex-Barber fabric. And it was £22 a metre, and I bought 2 metres, and I managed to squeeze it out. And yeah, it's lovely. I just want it to be finished, but I'm just so annoyed that it keeps going wrong. But, you know, it's been a year in the making. I thought I might as well show you my progress, and when I eventually finish it, which hopefully will be not too long away, because I need to wear it before winter is over again. But yeah. So those are my 3 makes. Thank you so much if you made it through this video. I feel like I've been a bit rambly. I'm still not quite back in the swing of filming yet. But I hope you enjoyed seeing what I've been making recently and that I might have given you a bit of inspiration. And I'll see you next time. Bye!